Chapter 12 The Queen's Favorite. While the farmer was trying to figure out how to make the most money from me before I died, a messenger arrived at the inn ordering the farmer to bring me to the Queen. He obeyed immediately and took Glumdalclitch along with us. When he placed me on the table before the Queen, I fell to my knees. "Your Majesty, may I have the honor of kissing your royal foot?" I pleaded. The Queen smiled down at me and shook her head. "Certainly not, little visitor, but you may kiss my little finger." I embraced that finger with both my arms and brought my lips respectfully to its tip. The Queen asked me many questions about my country and my travels, which I answered as best I could. Then she surprised me with her next question. "Do you think you could be happy living at court?" I made a deep bow in the direction of the farmer and explained. "I belong to the man who brought me here, but if I were free to make a choice, I'd be proud to serve Her Majesty for life." She then turned to the farmer and asked, "Will you sell me this slave?" "Certainly, at a good price, your Majesty. Perhaps 1,000 pieces of gold." And to himself, the farmer chuckled. "Since the Splachnook will probably be dead in a month, this will be an excellent deal for me." The Queen accepted the farmer's price and had the gold brought to him immediately. I then bowed again to Her Majesty. "Now that I'm your slave, I must beg you for one more thing. To permit Glumdalclitch, who has cared for me and knows me so well, to continue as my nurse and teacher." The Queen agreed and looked to Glumdalclitch, who was overjoyed, and to the farmer as he nodded his consent. "It will be to my advantage to have my daughter in such good favor at the court," the greedy farmer thought to himself as he bowed to the Queen, and then to me. I returned his false smile with a cold stare, and the slightest of bows as he left. The Queen noticed my coldness and asked, "Why did you look at your master that way?" I explained. "While I owe him my life for not killing me when he found me, he's been more than repaid with the money he's made by forcing me to entertain his audiences day and night for months. As a result, my health has suffered. If he didn't think that I was close to death, he'd never have sold me to you, gracious Queen. But I'm certain that with your protection, I'll recover soon." "What a delightful, intelligent creature you are!" she exclaimed. "I must take you to meet the king at once." She lifted me in the palm of her hand and carried me along as I lay stretched out on my stomach. Upon seeing me, His Majesty gave the Queen a scowl and demanded, "Since when have you become so fond of Splachnoks that you carry them around with you?" The Queen simply smiled at her husband as she stood me on the desk. "Tell His Majesty who you are and where you've come from," she said to me. I did so as best I could. Glumdalclitch, who was standing at the door, confirmed everything I said about my life from the time I arrived at her father's house. The King studied me for a while, then announced, "When I first saw you walk, I decided you were some sort of mechanical doll. Then when I heard you speak, and speak so sensibly, I decided that perhaps you were simply a dwarf. But you're even smaller than the Queen's favorite dwarf, who stands 30 feet high. So I'm forced to believe everything you've told me about your country and the millions of small creatures like yourself who live there." I bowed to the King, who then ordered that special care be given to me. "And see to it that his little nurse stays with him always, and that she has her own servants too." The Queen ordered her furniture maker to build a box what would serve as a bedroom for me to use not only at the palace, but for traveling as well. Within 3 weeks, that bedroom box was ready. It was 12 feet square and had softly quilted walls, closets, windows, a bed, a table, chairs, a cabinet, and a door with a lock. All my furniture was screwed to the floor to prevent any damage while we were traveling. The outside of my box had a ring at the top for lifting it, and hooks on one side to attach it to a rider's belt when I was carried about on horseback. The Queen also had her seamstress make me bed linens and clothes of the finest silks in the kingdom. She became so fond of me that she wouldn't dine without me in front of her on the table. I had my own small table and chair set up there, along with an entire set of silver plates and eating utensils. The Queen would put a piece of meat on my dish and watch with delight as I cut and ate it myself. On Wednesdays, their Sabbath, the King and Queen dined together with all the princes and princesses. At these dinners I was placed in front of His Majesty, and we spent many hours talking about the countries of Europe, their laws, their government, systems of education, manners, and religion. While the lords and ladies of the court liked me, I soon learned that the Queen's dwarf, who was jealous of my popularity, had become my enemy. His taunts didn't bother me, so he resorted to attacking me when no one was looking. First, he picked me up at the table, squeezed my legs together, and wedged me up to my waist inside a round marrow bone on the Queen's plate. For this he got a whipping, which stopped only when I pleaded for mercy for him. Another time, he dropped me into a large bowl of cream, then ran away. If I hadn't been such a good swimmer, and if Glumdalclitch hadn't spotted me from the other end of the table and pulled me out, I might have drowned. I swallowed about a quart of cream and ruined a good suit of clothes. The dwarf was whipped soundly again, but this time I had no desire to defend him, and didn't protest when he was banished from court.